A wonderful Tuesday evening to you. I'm CBS 19 Weather Authority meteorologist David Reese, and we had a lot of cloud cover today. Shallow, cold air mass trapped some moisture, created an inversion, and that's why we remained on the cloudier side of things today. There's also a developing storm system out west. We chatted about that some last night. Quite a bit of snow up here across parts of Wichita and Kansas and north and west of Oklahoma City. Lots of rain on the south side. You have this sprawling area of high pressure up here across Minnesota and Wisconsin. That's giving them some chillier conditions, and we're getting a brief taste of that on the very eastern fringes of this area of high pressure. This area of low pressure, though, well, that's going to be sliding along the Gulf Coast and out to sea. That means it's not going to be too much of an issue. Here's what that looks like on water vapor imagery. Again, I'll show you this just so you can get an idea of where the spin is or the energy is in the atmosphere. You can see this spin here right, say, between Oklahoma City and Dallas, Texas. There's that spin there, and that's where the area of low pressure was. You can see some of the energy diving into this and depicted in the oranges and blacks. You have another piece of energy moving into the Pacific Northwest here. This is the edge of the satellite imagery here, so that's why you see that start cutoff. This is from GOES 16. Lots of dry air across Florida, but here locally we're going to be looking at the piece of energy. Notice what it does. This is, again, 500 millibar forecast for the European. It slides pretty much along the Gulf Coast and out to sea. That's why that storm system is not going to be impacting us over the next 48 hours. Now, as we head into Friday and Saturday, here comes the storm system. Notice this piece of energy out here, though, across parts of Montana and Wyoming. I'm going to circle it here if I can find the right button. See that piece of energy right there? That, notice, dives to the south. All the way into the south here. All the way into Mexico on the European. Cuts off into an upper low. That's pretty impressive. But you have that piece of energy that I showed you back across parts of Oregon and Nevada and Washington. You can kind of see it here diving across the southeast. That piece of energy back across Montana and Wyoming. Well, if it had gone with this piece of energy, it would develop this a lot faster and a lot sooner and kick this up the eastern seaboard. That's not happening now. As a result, this piece of energy here across the southeast looks to be the primary one. You have another one here, you have another one here, you have another one here. Still a very energetic flow, but this one across the southeast looks like it's going to be the one to kind of take over and create a storm system out here in the Atlantic Ocean, and leaving not a whole lot of moisture energy for this storm system back here. So what does that mean for us? It means you have an area of low pressure pop pretty much out in the Atlantic Ocean, and then head for Canada. I'll show you that in the mean sea level pressure here in just a second, and then notice, yeah, we have an upper level low swinging through Saturday night, Sunday morning. Upper low equal weatherman's woe. So that's why I'm going to mention the chance for a couple of showers over the top of us here in Virginia, West Virginia, and also North Carolina later Saturday night into Sunday morning. That's why you see that precipitation chance there. But then after that, not a whole lot to talk about. Ridge tries to build overhead as we head into the beginning stages of next week. Maybe a storm system giving us a chance for rain next late Tuesday, mainly Wednesday, though. And again, this is the European. I'll show you the GFS now, showing similar conditions, at least for our weekend storm system. You can see out here off to the west, there's that storm system. Notice sliding off to the east pretty quickly, heading pretty much due east for Bermuda. There's Bermuda right here. So it's heading for Bermuda. Now to get the eastern seaboard, remember me talking about some of that energy up across Montana and Wyoming? Well, there it is. It's resolved slightly differently, not terribly though, but notice it also has it diving into Mexico. That allows this piece of energy down here in North Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and well, that kind of takes over again, and that's why we have an area of low pressure pop up somewhere in there, and you have a bowling ball kind of swinging in back behind it, at least on the GFS, and that's why it tries to give us an opportunity for something later Saturday evening into Sunday morning as well. But then after that, that energy in Mexico, does eventually head our direction, just not in tandem with any kind of cold air. So we're looking at the potential for warmer conditions and also maybe some rain by the middle of next week. Now, looking at the European low and 850 millibar temperatures in the colors there in the blue, you can see that area of low pressure. It just dives into the northeastern Gulf of Mexico and out to sea. That's exactly what I said that would do from just looking at 500 millibars. And then you have that piece of energy developing this area of low pressure off the Outer Banks. But again, it's going to be heading out all the way up towards Canada. And we do try to cool off some Saturday night, Sunday morning, but notice it's not going to last terribly long. Have a bubble of high pressure building here across parts of the Atlantic. That's going to get us into a stronger southerly flow, and that's why we're looking at 60s. This is why we have 60s in the forecast. You have this area of high pressure in the Atlantic. You have a developing storm system out west, so we're just kind of caught in between, and that's a strong area of high pressure. It does try to get kicked out to sea a little bit farther. We'll see what happens towards the end of the run there, but regardless kind of what happens, GFS, very similar scenario playing out here. I'll show you that real quickly too. Same area of low pressure, Gulf of Mexico, out into the Atlantic Ocean. Then you have this area of low pressure here for the weekend, storm system developing off Wilmington, North Carolina, and then nothing to block it up here. So as a result, it's just going to be like, all right, I'm going to take another trip to maritime provinces of Canada where it gets super strong again. You look at all those tight isobars. My goodness, it's going to be a doozy of a storm potentially for them. But here locally, here's the area of high pressure in the Atlantic. You have another area of low pressure a little bit farther to the south in Missouri, but still kind of similar things. It's, again, why we're looking at temperatures well into the 60s as we start off next work week. But today the trends have been more towards a system tucked in a little bit closer, but at least to the Carolina coastline, but then it kind of just goes straight instead of heading up the eastern seaboard, following the contour the east coast of the United States. So that's why it's like rain, if that, really, for the weekend. Storm system might be able to squeeze out a couple of wet snowflakes in the mountains, maybe lower elevations, especially Saturday morning. So overall, not looking too good for snow lovers. Unfortunately, the pattern just doesn't support it, at least right now. Our best opportunity was, and still could be, and it still very well could be, just the trends so far have been for that storm system to be a little bit too far to the east and moving away from us to allow for any kind of significant snow to occur anytime soon. And then the bigger story early next week is going to be some of the warmer air that tries to develop. And we could look at another storm system maybe in the 10 to 15 day range. So for the second weekend of February. But other than that, kind of steady as she goes in the extended forecast. So I hope you guys have enjoyed some of this and some of my tutelage for the weather and what I look at and what I'm talking about when I post some of the things on Facebook or say, hey, this piece of energy in the atmosphere. That's what I'm talking about, the 500 millibar vorticity. So hopefully you guys have learned a little something, and you guys have a great Tuesday evening.